everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Dwarf Fortress, a collaborative LP. Yes indeed, this is it. This is the start of the game playing itself. You've had near enough 3 episodes of introduction, setting up, embarkation preparation, exploration of the various region in terms of history, looking at the dwarves' personalities and traits. Now is the time to start fortress building and let the game commence. But before I do that, just one final thing. At the end of the last session I did welcome you to give me suggestions for names for our dwarven friends, our 7 founding fathers of the Wheel Mine Fortress, the Braided Bolt that we are known collectively as, and the names were suggested predominantly on the forums, and so therefore I've picked some names that I like, and here are the new dwarves. New dwarven names, of course, same dwarves, just slightly different names. So if I bring up the unit screen, you can see them right here. Our miners. Karnak, as suggested by Llyarden, has replaced English, and the reason why I've chosen this is because, well, Karnak is a place in Egypt, but the reason why I've chosen it is because it reminds me of a location in an MMO game called A Tale in the Desert. I played this game about 10 years ago, probably even more than that now, and I particularly enjoyed it because it was a slightly different MMO experience. Not your usual World of Warcraft, Star Wars type of hack and slash, grinding for this and doing that, and instance runs and all this kind of typical MMO fare. It was slightly more creative, slightly more intuitive, and more to do with crafting, and it was aimed at a slightly older audience. And I played it for about a year and a half and really enjoyed it. This game reminds me, certain elements of it remind me of A Tale in the Desert, and that's why I've chosen Karnak, because of that link there. So Llyarden, thank you for the suggestion. It just fits in absolutely perfectly. The second miner, Tyrion, has been renamed. Was Erdin, now Tyrion. Needs no explanation if you're a Game of Thrones fan. Thank you to Lucazzt for suggesting that one for me. We have the woodworker. The woodworker is now Elkor. Formerly was Reg. Elkyrian suggested that one, so thank you for that. Ulnern, the stoneworker, the rather lonesome stoneworker, has no friends amongst the group, just acquaintances, but this person sort of takes himself away and focuses on their creative works, and therefore hasn't got time for idle gossip and chit chat. Was Uzol, now is Ulnern, thanks to Danko. Our stonecrafter, Nomal, the one with the stats that should have led to him being the expedition leader. Was Nomal, now is Horston. Horston, why? Well, if you've watched some of my LPs before, you will know that Horston was initially was Nicholas Horston in my Medieval 2 Total War LP. He was a famous general, defender of Dijon, and the absolute bane of the Milanese. To immortalise him, when I came to LP my Dragon Age Origins sessions, my main character, who was a dwarven warrior, was called Horston, as in Nicholas Horston, and therefore dwarven warrior called Horston. We get now Dwarf Fortress. Comes across nicely. Horston again. So this is a 3rd incarnation of Horston, this time in Dwarf Fortress. He is the dwarf that we're going to be keeping our eye on. He's going to be our bookkeeper, manager, trader, broker, whatever you want to call him. He's going to be the one that sort of runs the show. So we're going to keep an eye on him. So that's Horston. We have Dopey. We can't have a Dwarf Fortress session without naming one of the dwarves after one of the famous 7. Alaf, this dwarf was formerly Alaf, the farmer. Doesn't like intellectual conversation, disorganised, therefore Dopey, eh? Bit of tongue-in-cheek humour for our farmer. And finally, this one is a bit of a tribute to one of my good friends over on the forums, BrianIanGoodman. He knows why. Well, he's basically selected this name for personal reasons that I'm obviously not going to go into. It's not my place to do so. But of course, those that know him and those that speak to him and are members of the forum will know what importance this has to him. And therefore, the expedition leader herself formerly Tirist, will now be known as Flossie. So there you go. So 7 dwarves, 7 new names, and we are ready to get cracking. Okay, so there are dwarven companions. Names changed, but they're still the dwarves all the same. So, where do we start? Here we are, 7 dwarves with a caravan, a cart, whatever you want to call it, a wagon full of supplies that we've brought with us, ready to create our own fortress. We're dwarves. The vast majority of which, I have no doubt, will prefer to have their home underground. You know, great raging forges and iron and hammering with hammers and pickaxes and all the dwarven type stuff that goes on. All of this underground, of course. And we're in the middle of a jungle on top of a hill, surrounded by wildlife. Maybe not quite so in tune with our heritage. So we're going to want to get underground as quickly as possible, out of danger's way, and so we can start building ourselves a nice fortress into the earth. So 2 ways we can do that. We can first of all channel or mine ourselves directly down on a flat area, basically mine downwards with some downward stairways on top of the surface, and basically go down a level. Or we can mine ourselves into a hill, which we have nicely here. We go down a level to the middle section of the area that we're on, and we can see here there is a nice little area where we can perhaps start mining into the side of the hill. It's only soil, it's a soil wall here, so it shouldn't be particularly difficult or slow for us to do so, and we can start carving out ourselves so the beginnings of our fortress here, the early corridors and rooms that are going to serve an early purpose for us. So that's where I'm going to do it, and that's what we're going to do first. Our dwarves are going to want to get out of the big bad wide world. So to do that, to mine into things and to create corridors and to create rooms within your fortress, the way you do it is by mining out. Now that's under the menu D here for designations. If you just press the D key, you get a list of things that you can do within this menu. The first of which is to mine out an area. So that's what I'm going to focus on straight away. So D to get into designations, and then you press D again, and that will bring up the mining designating option. The quickest and easiest way to designate things, predominantly mining as well, or particularly mining as well, is to use the arrow keys. You move your little X about, and then you click on the top corner of where you want to mine, and if you hold the shift key you move 10 squares, and then go to the other corner to corner, and it sort of just draws in there a nice little area for you. And that's the same with designating mining, designating stairs, designating anything. It's a sort of same process. You designate the top corner and then the bottom corner, opposite corner of the area. Press enter twice, for both things, and it draws out a corner to corner 4-sided shape of that particular area. So I've designated here a sort of 3-wide corridor, if you will, and that is going to be the entrance way to the fortress. Not the primary entrance way, but a particular entrance way to this fortress. Now, the reason why I've made it 3 wide, 2 reasons really. The first reason is the wider the corridors, the more room dwarves have to pass by each other, so they're not bumping into each other continually, especially when your fortress gets much busier. But the main reason is, in autumn time, just before the winter, we're going to get a caravan that comes down, a trade caravan that allows us to trade goods. Now that caravan is 3 spaces wide, and that caravan will park up, if you have one available, in a trade depot. Trade depot, think marketplace. They will unload their goods in the trade depot, you will unload your goods into the trade depot, and there will be some kind of bartering that goes on, almost like a flea market, an outdoor market sort of thing. So the trade caravan has to come into the depot, and to get into the depot it needs to go down a corridor that's wide enough to fit the caravan through. So that's why I'm making this one 3 wide, because this is going to be the entrance for the caravan. The trade depot itself will be built near to the entrance also, so if we designate out an area 3 wide here, and then we just go up to there, 1 down to there, that will be 5 by 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that's a 5 by 5 room for the trade depot with a 3 wide door so the caravan can go in next to the entrance of the fortress. So we're also going to mine out these areas here. A little bit of mud there to mine out. There's a bit of mud there and a bit of mud there as well to mine out, just to smooth out the entrance a little bit. We don't want things jutting out, do we? And also we have these ramps. Now these ramps will enable our dwarves to go in here and move up to the next level. We don't really want people being able to just meander down a ramp to the entrance of our fortress. We want to get rid of these ramps. So we're just going to either use the Z hotkey, or with this particular graphics pack I can just click on it with the mouse. We're going to remove some of these ramps. Now again, you can use the enter method to designate ramps to be moved, but you can also use the left click of your mouse as well. So that's what I'm going to use particularly for this. Just going to sort of smooth out this particular zone here, get rid of all these ramps, which basically turns this slope into almost like a vertical sort of cliff face, making it more difficult for dwarves to sort of meander up and down at their leisure, which can work both ways, for and against. So that will designate that to happen, and we are now beginning to flesh out the first level of our fortress. So we have the trade depot ready and waiting for the trade caravan once we build it. The next area I'm going to want to build is a secondary entrance. Now I'm led to believe, now I don't know how true this is, but I'm led to believe that the dwarven caravan cannot pass over traps. Now eventually thieves will start coming in here looking at your fortress. You might have heard on the grapevine that there's a fortress in the area that's being built, might be some things in there worth stealing. And even worse than that, goblin invasions, animals coming by, all of these things can get into your fortress. So we're going to have to fortify it. Now I have no experience with the military tab, and therefore my best form of defense in the early stages is going to be traps and a bridge to block entrance. So because the trade caravan, I think, cannot pass over traps, if we trap this area here, put traps here, the dwarven caravan can't come down here into here because of the fact that there's traps in the way. So what I'm going to do is block this entrance off until the caravan arrives, and use a secondary entrance somewhere around about here, something like this, 2 wide perhaps, so that I can actually trap this area with as many traps as my heart desires. And this will be the entrance that the dwarves use throughout the year, and this entrance here will only be opened when the trade caravan comes, and the rest of the time it will be blocked off with a drawbridge. So that's the plan. I don't know how well it's going to work. I haven't tried this yet, but this is a little thing that I've picked up, so we'll see how that fares. Another room I'm going to want to build is a room to bring our stuff in. Now if we go back up here, we can see the dwarven caravan has got loads of our goodies in here, our food, our alcohol, some of our resources. We don't want them open to the elements for every Tom, Dick and Harry to come and poke their nose into. We want to put them somewhere safe and secure, or as near as to be as near as can be. So what we're going to do is we're going to start now fleshing out some rooms within our fortress. So go back to the mining designation, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all create a room for our goods to be stored in. So a 15 by 10 room, or near enough as to it, on one side. And on the other side, pretty much a 10 by 10 room on the other, with a door on either side pretty much. Okay, so So this room here is going to be the stockpile room, think warehouse. This is where all our goods initially going to be stored. It's going to be a universal stockpile to start with. We're just going to basically chuck everything in there, get it out of the open and into some relative safety. And then on the other side, this is going to be the farming area. Now, because of our location, this particular level is looking like it's going to be a soil layer. When we are farming, having a soil layer is absolutely great because farms need to be placed on an area of soil or mud. So we can place our farm plots straight away onto this soil layer. So we're going to put our farms up here to start with and get some food supply going. Next up, we're going to place down some downward stairs. We're not going to build a massive sprawling fortress on one single layer. No, no, no. We're going to have it span out down, down, down beneath the earth over multiple layers. Think an epic tower block, but going down instead of up. A massive sprawling complex. And plus, the deeper down you dig, the more lucrative resources you can find. If we dig only on this layer, we're only going to ever stumble across soil. At some point, we're going to want to build things, and we're going to want to build it out of stone. So to get stone, we're going to have to dig deeper down. So to do that, start with a downward stairway. So click on downward stairway if you have mouse functionality, and if you don't, it's the hotkey J. I'm just going to flesh ourselves out a 3x3 stairwell here. Remove designation if you make a mistake, or just simply mine over. So it's a 3x3 stairway going down. That will go down to the second layer. I want to dig down at least 8 layers to start off with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move down a layer. Up, down, stairway is I, so click on that. Move down a layer, go from corner to corner, and then just keep going down till we get to the 9th level, and that's 8 levels down. So that's 8 levels down. Just a stairway for now. And I'm going to remove designation, remove this, chop this off. There we go. And that is sort of the startings of the fortress. The trade depot will be housed in here, farm plots in here, and the stockpiles of goods will be housed in there. So my mining dwarves, if I unpause the game, would start to get to work and would dig out what I have assigned for them to be dug out. But that would only be those two. I have other dwarves with other jobs that they can do, and that will need to be done at some point. Now, yes, we're going to dig down and get some stone, but we also are going to need some wood. Wood is useful for building beds and also other things as well. So we're going to want a nice healthy supply of wood. Where does wood come from? It comes from trees. Now luckily we're in a heavily forested area, a jungle type area, and therefore we've got tons of trees. So if you go out of here and back, the designation menu again for D, not only can we mine and place stairs in this menu, we can chop down trees as well. Shortcut for that is T. And again, similar to mining out an area, if you click on the top corner of your 4-sided shape and click on the bottom corner of your 4-sided shape where you want it to go, any tree in between these two areas will be marked up for being chopped down. So as you can see, all these trees fall within the area I've marked out, and they will be marked to be chopped down. Similarly, my farmers have gathering plants as part of their labour, which means that any shrubs in the area may contain edible food stuff like strawberries and prickleberries, and they can be eaten or even brewed into alcohol. So I'm going to want these collected as well. So if we go to gather plants under the designation menu, which is P, I'll click on it, one or the other, and again mark out a nice area for the plants to be gathered, and there we go. So we have some shrubs to be foraged for foodstuffs, we have some trees marked to be chopped down, and of course we have ourselves a little area on the first level of our fortress to be dug out by the miners, and that initially should keep our dwarves pretty busy for the time being. So without further ado, let's unpause it and see our dwarves getting to work. So as you can see, Elkor, the woodcutter, chopping down the trees and turning them into piles of wood that we can use. The Dopey the farmer, along with Flossie, are collecting, are trying to collect foodstuffs from the shrubs. Not every shrub will reveal an item that we can eat, but they're keeping their eyes open and doing their best to find some. So if we press the A key, what that is the announcements screen. Any messages that are of great importance to us will crop up on the bottom of the screen, and we just need to press A to read the message. Now, the reason why I bring it up now is to just quickly highlight the year. Obviously the year is 126, and it's the 4th of Granite. Granite roughly translates to March, which is early spring, and the seasons will progress and time will progress from there. So every so often we'll just keep checking back to check what the date is and see how far we've progressed from the start. But the game will tell us every time we go into a new season. So as you can see now, the entrances have been dug out, the ramps are being removed by the miners. They're a bit haphazard. They don't sort of do things in a logical way. They'll just cut a bit, they'll dig a bit here, dig a bit there, and then they might say, oh, I forget this, I'm bored of this, and they'll go and dig something else. So it's not a sort of logical process they go through. They just sort of do what their mood sort of indicates. So they're currently digging down the stairway, digging down here and sort of coming across a variety of items here. You see down here we've got a message at the bottom of the screen. If we press A, these messages will be displayed in the announcement screen. So we've struck magnetite, which is an iron ore, and we've struck green tourmaline, which is, I assume, is some kind of a gem. And we've also struck cobaltite. Don't know what that is. I'll have a look on the wiki here whilst we're waiting for the miners to do their stuff. Cobaltite is a brilliant blue stone. It's not a usable ore though. Apparently it's good for traps. Okay. So let's get ourselves back up to see what's going down here. Okay. So my dwarves still doing their stuff. Now on the top right corner here you can see how many dwarves are idle, i.e. not doing anything. 4 dwarves are idle. If you bring the U screen up for units, you can see exactly what my dwarves are doing. We've got 2 miners digging, we've got 1 person felling a tree, and now the 2 farmers have stopped foraging, which means they must have finished the area that they were designated to forage, which they have. That's fair enough. We could actually send them out and forage some more a little bit further afield. At this moment in time there's still nothing overly dangerous out there that we need to be worried about, so let's get them going. D for designations, P for gather plants, and let's get them foraging a little bit further afield. Don't want them sitting on their hands doing nothing whilst my other dwarves are working hard. So let's get some more area foraged out. There we go. Let's forage out that area as well whilst we're at it. Okay. Just waiting for my minor dwarves to finish up. Now we're going to want to get some beds as quickly as possible. If I was a dwarf in the middle of a jungle, I wouldn't want to be sleeping on the floor. I would want a nice comfy bed as soon as possible as a priority. I'm pretty croaky if I don't get my sleep, so we're going to have to aim to get some beds built as quickly as possible. But to build beds we need we need a carpenter's workshop, which we can start to build soon enough when we get ourselves an area designated out for workshop space. All in good time. Just waiting for my miners to finish up. They seem to be pretty much close. Right, I'm going to pause the game there. So the initial area's been mined out. We have some wood that's been collected, some shrubbery that's been collected also, and now we have some areas that are ready to be used. The first area which I'm going to make use of is the stockpile area, because I want to get my items inside as quickly as possible. So that's going to be under the stockpile menu, which is P. So if you use P to create stockpile, and you use C for custom stockpile, and then T for custom stockpile settings, you can sort of sort what goes into a custom stockpile. So in this custom stockpile, I'm going to want to literally put everything for now, just get everything inside. So I'm going to want to enable as much as possible. So furniture, yep, not a problem. Corpses and refuse, no. Food as well, animals, no. Not stone either for now, but basically everything else. So all of this stuff is going to be brought inside eventually. And these other things, we will deal with those a little bit later. So as soon as I set the stockpile up with my cursor here, same rules apply like everything else. You press enter in the top corner and you press enter in the bottom corner, and that is your stockpile now. That stockpile should take all the items that I specified. And what will happen is any dwarves that are idle, that have got nothing better to do, and they have the hauling labours on, they will start to haul all items such as wood, such as food, such as finished items and furniture that are in the cart. They will take all those items into the stockpile and put them in here. So let's see what happens there. If I use U, okay. So they're all off on their merry way to store items in stockpile. The farmers are still gathering plants because that's their primary job, so that's what they're going to do. But as soon as they've finished gathering the last of the plants, they're going to then default to hauling items into the stockpile. Now I don't want my miners to be hauling items into the stockpile because we got plenty more work for them to do. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go down a level and then down another level to this layer here, which is a stone layer, and it looks to be mudstone. Now mudstone doesn't sound particularly useful. It doesn't sound like a lucrative stone of any sort, but it's what we're given, so we'll work with it for now. On this level here, the third level down of our fortress, is going to be our craft area. So all of the workshops are going to be based here. So let's create some. So D for designation, and D again for mining, and we're going to start to designate out some of our workshop spaces. Now again, we're just going to work pretty much with a 3x3 corridor, and I think I'll use it like this. It's a lot easier, sort of okay, so 3 wide, and then we're just going to branch out from here a variety of rooms that we're going to use as sort of workshops. Now what I'm going to do, if we go here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm looking at 5x5 rooms really. 5x5, 5x5, and on the other side as well we'll do the same thing. Is that 5x5? I think so. Come on. There we go. So little 5x5 rooms here with some doors. These are going to be my workshops to start with. Okay. Now the reason they're 5x5 will become apparent in a short while. Above that there is another soil layer by the looks of it. Now this soil layer is going to be a handy area to put another stockpile area. This is a universal stockpile to start with, where we're going to just haul everything inside in here. But down below, this stockpile is going to be a little bit more specific. This is going to be the output stockpile area for the goods that are created in here. So for instance, in the carpentry workshop, the vast majority of things that are going to be produced is going to be furniture. So the furniture stockpile is going to be above it in here. And I'm just going to make this stockpile area, I think, just a large area, I think, is probably best here. Okay, let's just have a look. About there. So 10 that way, 10 up, a couple of 10s that way maybe. Okay, 10 by 10 on both sides, I think. So 1, 2 there. Same there. So just a real big stockpile area to start with. And this is going to be where we keep our finished goods created in the workshops to start with. So we'll have the dwarves mine that out.